stuff. So here's an example of TheraBand assisted drills. They curl up in a ball like that so they can't sheet with their lower back. A lot of girls go hands and knees and they swing their leg for switch rings or whatever. And a lot of it comes from their lower back and they never get a stronger hip complex. So these are the band assisted pulls. Okay, and it's just a temporary thing. For a couple weeks they do that, and then eventually once they're stronger, they take the band away. And it's just hard for me. I program for the 5s through the 9s, and then our soon to be 10s hopefully, right? Holy moly, is that a wide range of people. So I gotta make sure that I'm individualizing it. Some people are with the band, some people are without it. This is what Tay did when she couldn't really, she had full oversplit, but not a full like kick we wanted on beam. So a little bit of assisted band work, then they ditch it after. Here's some other examples, right? These are strength things, right? If you're curious about, our main strength things, I'm really a fan of, there's a lot of different exercises that can work, but just be consistent and plan and program and have a method and have a system, right? Doing the same thing, sing them together, that's how you start them, but there's a lot of different ways to get them stronger, and we would all have the best exercises, but these are just personally what I use. Don't freak out, she's got kettlebells in her hands, right? But it's a split squat. Right, and you can increase the volume on the kid. You can do more volume and more intensity to get them stronger, but I think that properly using weights as load is a very more efficient way to get stronger tissue in the little kids, especially once they're growing and they're trying to do heavier skills. Okay, and then another video here, we do some other control stuff. So doing some leg lifts, where they curl up in a ball like that. Once they're good enough, you can raise them up on blocks. So they kneel up on top of a box and they have to kick through a larger range. Those are reptile slides. Again, these are things we're doing after we do some hormone, some controlled stretching. If you want to get a butt cramp really fast, that's how you do it. These things are so hard. Anyone ever done this before? We went to like Angel Speed and FRC. This stuff is so hard. With your tongues out. That actually makes it easier. I've seen that. Okay, and this is what I've come up with to try to help a lot of athletes gain more range of motion as they go. So you set up like a pyramid, and they slowly go higher up the block. You just move 2 beams apart, and you put one giant pyramid down the middle, and athletes can cycle through really fast and get their left leg split, then their right leg, and then their straddle, and their back leg, and they go after the beams, go over to Eva, do all your jump complexes, right? Go to tumble track and start getting after it. Everybody's familiar with how awful that feels. Okay, so just some other ideas here before we wrap it up, right? Those are single leg hip lifts, where she hugs her legs so she can't arch your back. Those are side band walks, which are super important for your small little butt muscles. Clamshells, laying that way, and then this back leg, you can use a stall bar, or you can use a beam, which I think Tammy's a huge fan of too. We agree on that a lot. Trying to do active flex for their end ranges. Right, the end range is where that hip is slide a little bit, we get nervous. So just working her way up as far as you can. Sorry, am I over? I'm sorry, guys. And I'll just show the shoulder one, then we'll be done. That's it. Okay, so band lifts off and all that stuff. Arms are up on a block. Chloe's super flexible, right? But she's super not strong. So doing some of that, and then the girl on the right has dumbbells in her hand doing overhead lunges. So she's working on getting her legs stronger, but she's trying to control overhead positions. Because when I teach her a Ginger in 2 years, I got to make sure her shoulders can take that, Or if I'm trying to see this off the table. Okay, and then another one that's commonly overlooked is going to be horizontal rows with a pull. A heavy TheraBand, 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing. Okay, and then I just want to show a couple videos before we explore stimulus on their legs, but also metabolically very taxing and safe before we ask them to do a floor routine. I'm a big proponent of stressing their metabolic systems in preseason before I ever ask them to do a floor routine, right? Because if you have a new D going in, and I ask you to do it, and you haven't had your cardio at a base level yet, we're asking something to go wrong. So you have to prepare their metabolic systems way before, in the summer, in the preseason, and then say, okay, let's do back-to-back floor routine. Okay, and then here's some swings, right? It took about 3 or 4 months for them to learn it the right way, right? And we're not going crazy heavy, right? It's probably 35 pounds, but they're just learning the hip snap technique. And this is a point where I try to be a continuous learner. As I listen to Neil and Ivan and Todd talk about that hip open whip technique that everyone's really using a lot at the ranch. And I'm like, okay, we need to get girls to be able to do that better. Because if you watch, I saw an 11-year-old do a laid out triple double. And I was like, okay, clearly we're doing something right with that technique. So now how can I develop glutes? Sore as crap, right? It's okay. You get used to it. Just could never get her splits down until we did it. So she was about 10 inches off the ground. So she'll do a little bit of upper quad. You can't really roll out your hip flexor, but upper quad and lower quad foam rolling. And this is exactly what we do in the gym, is we set up on the floor 5 lanes of this complex. So each lane has a foam roller, each lane has a block, and each lane has some therabands at the end to work on some stuff. So she gets her groin, pardon the dork in the front with the measuring thing. So it's your hamstrings, that's a true hip flexor stretch. She's squeezing her butt, she's squeezing her core under. Right, and you also do it with the quad. You just bend their knee up until they feel in the front. Right, and just that alone, she's got 2 inches. Those are leg lowers, so you put them on the edge of the block. I'm only holding her sideways for the video, but she would lay with her butt right close to the edge, and she would hold her own leg and let her leg drop off the edge of the block. Does that make sense? Right, the reason we do it like that is because your core is helping to get your hamstring to lower, and you're not just cranking on it, right? And so we're slowly getting there. Right, so these are leg drivers. And all in all, this circuit, when they know what they're doing, maybe takes a couple minutes. Once they understand what's happening, they can go through it 2 or 3 times and they're just fine. Heel kicks, right? Again, she's squeezing her butt every time at the top. See how long her legs are? That's why that poor child struggles. Like almost 6 feet. Look at that. Right, now we're getting somewhere. This was 15 minutes. She went through it twice. All good, right? And that stayed for that practice, but if she didn't come back and do it again a couple times per week, it would never stick around. Right, so then from here, I say, okay, go to beam with Eva, our beam coach, and do all your favorite jumps and your leaps and do all of your. It's so mandatory every single day because they point their toes so much. They should be foam roll legs together a lot. Your groin's gonna get super stiff. People forget that your groin influences your tilting of your pelvis. They think it's just a side-to-side muscle, but there's angles of those groin muscles. And if they're stiff from squeezing your legs together, up and down the lat and the underside, right? And I'm pushing gently, opening her shoulders this way, instead of doing a skin to calf stretch. Because I think the pecs come in and they foam roll calves, groin, quads, glutes, underarm, pecs.